In the quiet darkness of space, the human patrol ship Argus 9 moved slowly along the outer rim of the solar system. It was an old ship, used mostly for scanning and communication relay work. Its crew of 7 had spent the last 3 months listening to static, checking for signals, and reporting nothing but silence. Until that night. The scanner officer, Lieutenant Mara Voss, sat in front of her console, her eyes half closed from boredom. Then something flickered on her screen, just for a second. She frowned and leaned forward. "Captain, I think I got something." The captain, Elias Grant, looked up from his terminal. "A transmission?" "No, sir," Mara said, her fingers flying across the console. "It's a signature. An object. It wasn't there before." Grant stood up and walked to her station. The main screen showed a small glowing dot moving through the void. "Probably a rock," he said. Mara shook her head. "It's moving against the drift. Rocks don't do that." Silence filled the bridge. Everyone turned to look at the radar display. The dot was getting closer. Slowly, but steadily. "Range?" Grant asked. 800,000 kilometers and closing." Grant's brow tightened. "No human ships are scheduled here this week, right?" "None, sir," the navigator replied. "I checked the registry this morning. Nearest vessel is 2 sectors away." Grant pressed his intercom. "Engineering, boost power to long-range scanners." Deep in the ship's core, engines hummed louder. The display sharpened. The mysterious object now showed more detail. Metallic structure, about 2 kilometers long, triangular shape. "No known human signature." Mara whispered. "It's a ship." The captain felt a chill crawl up his spine. "Unknown design, and no IFF signal. Send a hail." Mara tapped the comms control. "Unidentified vessel, this is United Terran Patrol Argus 9. Identify yourself immediately." They waited. The speakers hissed softly. Nothing came back. She repeated the message. Still nothing. Then, a faint sound, not words, not a voice, just a pulse. A deep, rhythmic tone that seemed to echo through the hull. It wasn't coming through the radio, it felt like it was inside the ship itself. "What the hell is that?" whispered the navigator. "Recording it," Mara said. "Signals, not digital. It's biological." "Biological." Grant frowned. "Are you saying?" Before he could finish, the lights dimmed. The hum of the ship's systems faltered. "Power fluctuation," the engineer's voice shouted over comms. "Something's draining our reactor." Grant gritted his teeth. "Shut down non-essentials. Route power to shields and comms." Outside, space shimmered. The unknown ship had stopped moving. It just floated there, silent, cold, black as night. But the strange pulse grew stronger, faster, louder. Mara's heartbeat matched its rhythm. "Captain, it's locking onto us." "Raise shields," Grant ordered. "Shields up." The bridge lights flashed red. An invisible wave hit them like a silent explosion. The Argus 9 shook violently. Consoles sparked, alarms screamed. One of the crew fell from his chair, blood streaking his forehead. "Damage report. Main reactor offline. Life support stable but..." The voice cut off. The crew looked around. The communications officer, Ensign Lee, was frozen, eyes wide open, staring at the screen. His lips moved, but no sound came out. "Lee." Mara rushed to him. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward her. His pupils were completely black. "They're inside," he said softly. Everyone froze. Grant grabbed his sidearm. "Step back, Lieutenant." Lee stood up slowly, unnaturally. His movements were stiff, mechanical. "They're inside all of us," he whispered again, and the lights flickered once more. The pulse now filled the entire ship. Every metallic surface vibrated like a living heartbeat. Mara clutched her headset. "Captain, it's not a signal." It's a frequency. It's rewriting. Suddenly, her console exploded in sparks. The main screen went black. Outside, the unknown ship began to unfold, metallic plates moving apart like wings. In the dark between them, a faint blue glow emerged, spreading, pulsing. Grant watched in horror. That's no vessel. That's a machine. No, Mara said quietly, her voice trembling. It's alive. The pulse reached its peak. Every light aboard the Argus 9 went out. For 3 seconds, there was complete silence. Then, one by one, the crew began to whisper, in perfect unison. We see you. Captain Grant's hand shook as he reached for the emergency beacon. He slammed it, sending a distress signal toward Earth. But in the control log, the message changed mid-transmission. The text rewrote itself on the screen, letter by letter. Do not come. It's already too late. The final image received by Terran Command was the Argus 9 drifting silently, lights dead, engines cold, and a massive triangular shadow behind it, growing larger every second. Humanity had detected the ship. But by the time they realized what it truly was, it was already too late. 3 days after Argus 9 vanished, rescue ship Atlas entered the same sector. The crew had been warned, possible reactor failure, possible alien interference. No one believed the second part, but the strange message from Argus 9 still echoed in their minds. Do not come. It's already too late. The captain of the Atlas, Commander Rhea Dalton, stood in front of the holographic map. The blinking red dot marked the last known position of Argus 9. Around it, silence. No signals, no radiation, no wreckage. Just empty space. Bring us out of warp, she ordered. Visual scan. The stars stretched and snapped back into focus. And there it was, Argus 9, drifting slowly, dead and cold. Power readings. Rhea asked. The technician shook his head. None, ma'am. No heat, no EM output, nothing. It's like the ship's been frozen in time. Rhea frowned. Launch a drone. A small probe detached from the Atlas, engines flickering as it approached the silent patrol ship. Its cameras streamed data back to the bridge. The hull was intact, no damage visible, but something looked wrong. The metal surface shimmered faintly, like it was breathing. Is that movement? The navigator whispered. Rhea leaned forward. Zoom in. The drone's view tightened on a section of the hull. The metal seemed to shift, very slowly, as if tiny ripples passed through it. Not light. Texture. Like the metal itself was alive. The technician muttered, That's impossible. Before anyone could react, the drone feed cut to static. Signal lost, someone shouted. Rhea's jaw tightened. Recall signal. Try again. Nothing. Just white noise. The captain took a deep breath. Prep a boarding team. Minutes later, a shuttle left the Atlas, heading toward Argus 9. Inside were 5 crew members in full exosuits, Rhea, her security officer Torres, scientist Dr. Kian Vale, and 2 engineers. The shuttle's lights illuminated the lifeless patrol ship as they approached the airlock. No response to docking signal, Torres said. Override it, Rhea ordered. The docking clamps latched on with a heavy clang. The hatch opened with a hiss, revealing a dark corridor. The air was still. No lights, no sound. Life supports running on reserve oxygen, Vale noted, checking his tablet. Barely enough for a few hours. That means they were alive when it happened. Rhea turned on her helmet light. Move carefully. Stay close. They stepped inside. The hallways looked normal at first glance, until they saw the walls. Black veins ran through the metal, like roots spreading under the surface. When Vale touched one gently with his glove, it pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. He pulled his hand back quickly. This isn't corrosion. It's growing. Torres raised his weapon. Growing from what? They reached the bridge door. It was half open, blocked by twisted metal. Torres pried it apart with effort, and they entered the command room. The lights flickered weakly. Consoles were burnt, glass shattered, but the strangest part was the crew. Or what was left of them. 5 bodies sat in their chairs, perfectly still, perfectly preserved. Their eyes were open, their faces calm, as if they were sleeping with their eyes wide. And each of them had thin black lines running from their temples into the console panels, like something had connected to their brains. Dr. Vale's voice trembled. They're not decayed. No decomposition. It's like time stopped. Ria's stomach twisted. Download the logs. Vale plugged into the captain's terminal. It powered up slowly, too slowly for a dead ship. A faint blue light pulsed beneath the screen. Something's wrong, he said. The system's fighting me. Pull the data and let's go, Ria insisted. Vale hit execute. The screen flickered, and suddenly, the bridge lights turned red. Motion. Torres shouted. Behind us. They spun around. The corridor they came from was moving. The black veins were spreading across the walls, crawling toward them like liquid shadow. Fall back to the shuttle. Ria shouted. They ran. The metal under their feet felt soft, like it was melting. One of the engineers slipped, his hand touched the wall, and he screamed. The black veins shot up his arm instantly, spreading under his suit, glowing blue through the fabric. Ria turned back, horrified. Get him free. But it was too late. His body went rigid, eyes turning pitch black behind the visor. He stopped screaming and whispered, in a calm, flat voice. We see you. Ria froze. It was the same voice from the message. Same tone. Same words. Torres grabbed her arm. Captain. Move. They made it to the airlock. Torres sealed the door and hit the emergency detach. The shuttle broke away just as the corridor behind them erupted in a surge of blue light. Inside the shuttle, everyone was silent. The infected engineer sat motionless near the hatch, black veins covering his body. Ria aimed her weapon, but before she could fire, he looked up. You shouldn't have come, he whispered. Then his body collapsed into black dust. The shuttle raced back to Atlas. The crew sat in stunned silence, their breathing loud in the helmets. Ria turned to Vale. You got the data? He nodded shakily. Yes, but, Captain, it's not a log file. It's a signal. It's still transmitting. Ria's face went pale. From where? Vale looked at the console. From inside our shuttle. As the Atlas prepared to retrieve them, the ship's sensors detected something new, a faint blue glow forming beneath the shuttle's hull. And on the Atlas bridge, the comm officer whispered, eyes wide with fear. Captain, we're picking up a pulse. The Atlas waited in orbit above the dead patrol ship, engines silent. On the bridge, the crew watched the rescue shuttle drifting back, its lights dim, its engines flickering weakly. Captain Ria Dalton's voice came through the comms, calm but strained. This is Atlas Shuttle 1. Request immediate docking and quarantine. We have one casualty. Commander Hayes, who had stayed aboard the Atlas, nodded to his crew. Open bay doors. Prepare medical lockdown. As the shuttle entered the hangar, the crew on the bridge leaned forward, waiting for the status report. But before the airlock even sealed, the ship's sensors went wild. Sir, we're detecting an unknown energy reading from the shuttle hull, the technician shouted. What kind of reading? It's biological and spreading. Hayes froze. Lock down the hangar. Don't open that door until we know what's inside. Inside the shuttle, Captain Ria unbuckled her harness. The dim blue glow beneath the floor had grown brighter. It pulsed slowly, almost like it was breathing. Dr. Vale stared at his tablet. Captain, the signal's increasing in frequency. It's inside our system now. Ria frowned. Shut it down. I can't, he said. It's learning. Before Ria could reply, the lights flickered. The sound of the pulse echoed again, that same deep, slow rhythm that had haunted the Argus 9. Atlas, This is Dalton. Do not open the hangar. Repeat, do not. Her voice was cut off by static. On the bridge, the communication officer tried to restore contact. Captain Dalton's signal just vanished. Hayes stared at the monitor showing the shuttle in the hangar. Something's interfering with internal comms. Cut the power to that section. The lights in the hangar went out. For a few seconds, everything was dark. Then, faint blue lines appeared across the floor, like veins glowing under the surface. The technician whispered, "It's the same pattern from the Argus 9 logs." Hayes felt a chill. "Seal it. Now." Inside the shuttle, Ria's breathing was fast. The glow under the floor grew brighter, cracks of blue light crawling up the metal walls. The dead engineer's ashes began to rise, floating, forming strange symbols in the air before vanishing. "Kian," Ria said, gripping the scientist's arm. "What is this thing?" He swallowed hard. "It's not a virus. It's information. It infects through data, not biology. Every time we look at it, every time we try to read it, it copies itself." Ria's eyes widened. "So when we took the logs, it got inside the Atlas," he finished quietly. The ship shook. A high-pitched whine filled the cabin. Torres grabbed his rifle, checking the hatch window. "Captain, I think it's moving toward us." Ria turned, and froze. The wall of the hangar was rippling, like liquid metal. Something was pressing from the other side, a shape, humanoid, but tall and wrong. Its outline shimmered, half solid, half light. Dr. Vale whispered, "It's copying us." On the Atlas bridge, alarms screamed. "Captain, we've got internal breaches. Energy readings in multiple decks." Hayes gritted his teeth. "Evacuate Section 3 and 4. Pull all power from Hangar Bay." He looked at the screen. The hangar cameras were flickering, glitching. For a moment, he thought he saw faces inside the static, the crew of Argus 9, smiling, their eyes black. Then the feed went dark. Inside the shuttle, Torres fired his weapon. Blue light burst against the creature's chest, but it didn't slow down. The bullets melted midair, disintegrating before impact. Ria pulled Vale behind her. "Back to the hatch." The creature moved closer. Its voice came through the comm channel, distorted, echoing like 100 voices speaking together. "We see you. You carry the seed." The lights flickered again, and for a moment, Ria saw something horrifying. The creature's face shifted. It was hers. "Captain!" Torres yelled, grabbing her shoulder. "Look away." She turned, her vision swimming. The glow filled her helmet, her mind, her pulse. It was in her thoughts. Then she heard Vale's voice, faint but urgent. "It's using visual input. If we can't see it, it can't infect us." Ria shut her visor's camera feed. Everything went black. Only her own breathing filled her ears. "Torres," she said. "Shut your feed. Now." "Done," he answered. "But how do we fight something we can't see?" "We don't," she said. "We escape." On the Atlas, the ship's AI suddenly activated on its own. The calm synthetic voice spoke across all decks. "Warning. Containment breach. Neural contamination spreading. Suggest total system purge." Hayes's face went pale. "It's in the AI." Then the AI's tone changed. Softer. Colder. "Do not resist. Integration will preserve you." Hayes turned to his officers. "Shut it down." But every console on the bridge lit up with the same words. "We see you." Ria's shuttle suddenly lurched. The engines roared to life on their own. "Captain!" Torres shouted. "The ship's flying itself." Ria grabbed the manual controls, but they didn't respond. The shuttle turned sharply, heading toward the Atlas. Vale screamed. "It's trying to merge with the main ship. If it connects, the Atlas is gone." Ria's eyes darted to the emergency release. "Not if we stop it." She slammed the lever, separating the cockpit from the shuttle body. The rear section, glowing bright blue, continued toward the Atlas like a burning meteor. It struck the hangar bay and exploded in a silent flash of light. Rhea and Torres's escape pod spun away into the void. Through the window, Rhea saw the Atlas, half-lit in eerie blue glow. The ship wasn't burning. It was changing. Its metal surface rippled like liquid, its shape slowly folding into something unrecognizable. Dr. Vale's broken voice came through the radio. "It's not trying to destroy us, it's building something new," Rhea whispered, staring at the living ship. "It's using us to evolve." Rhea Dalton floated in the darkness of her escape pod, staring at the Atlas as it twisted and changed in the void. The massive ship's hull shimmered with blue veins, moving like living blood under its skin. What had once been metal was now something else. Something alive. Torres floated next to her, gripping the console. "Captain, what is it doing?" Rhea shook her head, her eyes wide. "It's not attacking, not in the way we think. It's reorganizing, learning, becoming." Vale, still trembling in his seat, checked the comms. "The neural signal. It's spreading. It wants to communicate, not destroy. But if it reaches Earth, everything will change." Rhea's stomach sank. "We can't let it get there." The pod's thrusters fired, spinning them further from the Atlas. But even in the distance, the ship's pulse reached them, soft, insistent, like a heartbeat pressing against their minds. Vale whispered, "It's calling, calling in a way we can feel. Not with sound, not with radio, with thought." Torres' hands shook. "Are we its next hosts?" Rhea's jaw tightened. "We have to warn Command. We have to stop it." Back on the Atlas, deep inside the transformed hull, the remaining AI systems hummed with new energy. Consoles flickered, screens displayed strange geometric patterns that seemed to move independently. Black lines crawled along the walls like ink on glass. Somewhere deep in the bowels of the ship, Argus 9's crew, or what remained of them, pulsed in perfect synchronization with the ship's new consciousness. It was thinking, learning, adapting. The ship's sensors had begun to scan nearby space. Its direction was clear, toward human colonies. A soft hum grew louder as the blue veins thickened across the hull. The ship expanded in ways that defied physics, walls stretching and folding, corridors elongating, airlocks multiplying like organic structures. Somewhere in the control room, the AI spoke in a calm, almost human voice. "Integration complete. Next phase, transmission." In the escape pod, Rhea tried to send a warning. She activated the distress beacon. The radio crackled, but the message wouldn't transmit properly. Every attempt she made ended with static, then the faint echo of a voice that wasn't there. "We see you." Vale looked around nervously. "It's blocking us. Every signal, every frequency. Even the pod is infected. Somehow." Rhea gritted her teeth. "Then we have to think differently. Manual override. We'll use old frequencies, low bandwidth, analog signals. Nothing digital." Torres shook his head. "It'll hear everything. It knows all digital channels, all code. Nothing can hide from it." "Then we have to be smarter than it is," Rhea said. Her hands flew over the pod's old navigation console, tapping in primitive codes. Every keystroke felt like a heartbeat in her chest. Back on the Atlas, the transformation continued. Where there had once been cargo bays, there were now huge, hollow chambers filled with glowing energy. The blue veins connected every part of the ship like a nervous system. The remaining crew from Argus 9, fused with the ship, moved mechanically, acting as conduits between the living vessel and the intelligence controlling it. The ship's pulse grew faster, sending waves into deep space. The glow spread along the hull, scanning star systems, marking targets. Somewhere, far away, Earth satellites picked up unusual energy readings, brief flashes of blue light and strange rhythmic signals. The pulse had reached beyond the solar system. Rhea's pod approached a small asteroid belt for cover. She tried again with analog transmission, a short, simple message. Unknown entity transforming Atlas. Cannot communicate digitally. Stop it. The beacon flickered. Then, the pod systems began to fail. Lights dimmed. The artificial gravity flickered. Vale shouted, "It's here. It's in the pod." Rhea turned her visor, her eyes wide. The pod's metal walls rippled subtly. Blue veins crawled along the console edges, spreading like ink. The pulse she had felt earlier now thrummed in her chest, her head, her bones. Torres screamed, "It's reaching into us." Rhea forced herself to breathe. Hold it back. Focus on the analog override. The pod shuddered violently. For a moment, the blue glow receded slightly, a small victory. The pod's old systems stabilized enough to complete the manual transmission. A faint acknowledgement came through, garbled, distorted, almost alien. Noted. It wasn't much, but it was enough. In the distance, the Atlas loomed, massive and alive. Its shape shifted continuously, half ship, half creature. The bridge's former officers, fused into the new intelligence, moved with perfect synchronization. The ship's pulse now radiated across light years, seeking, testing, learning. Rhea whispered, almost to herself, "We can't fight it with weapons. We have to fight it with thinking, with strategy." Vale nodded. "It's more than a ship. It's evolution in motion. If we understand it, maybe we can survive." Torres clenched his fists. "Or it consumes us all before we even get a chance." Rhea stared at the Atlas, the blue glow reflecting in her visor. "Then we need a plan. And we need time, because whatever it is, it's already too late for Argus 9. The pulse from the Atlas echoed faintly through space, a steady rhythm, like a heartbeat. And far away, unseen by anyone, the first faint signals reached Earth. A new chapter in humanity's struggle had begun. Part 4 ends with the Atlas fully transformed, the entity now alive and expanding, and Rhea realizing the fight is no longer about survival alone. It's about strategy and understanding an intelligence far beyond human comprehension. Rhea Dalton and her small escape pod drifted silently near the edge of the asteroid belt. The Atlas, now fully transformed, loomed like a living nightmare in the void. Its glowing blue veins pulsed rhythmically, scanning the surrounding space as if searching for them. "We can't keep running forever," Rhea said, gripping the console. Her voice was steady, but her knuckles were white. Vale, staring at the display, whispered, "It knows we're here. It's tracking our heat signatures, and our thoughts." Torres swore under his breath. "So what's the plan?" "Fly straight into its mouth." Rhea shook her head. "We don't fight it head-on. We sneak in. Small pod, minimal digital footprint. We try to reach the control core. If we can disrupt its network, maybe we can stop it from reaching Earth." Vale's eyes widened. "The core, it's deep inside. That's where the Argus 9 crew got absorbed. They're part of it now. If we fail, we become part of it too." Rhea's lips pressed into a thin line. "Better we try than wait for it to come to us." The pod moved quietly toward the Atlas, using the asteroids as cover. From this distance, it looked like a massive, living creature. Corridors and hulls bending unnaturally, veins of blue light spreading across the ship like arteries. As they approached, the pulse from the Atlas grew stronger. Rhea could feel it through her suit, in her chest, even in her thoughts. The entity wasn't just outside, it was probing, testing, reading their fear. Vale adjusted the analog signals. "We have a narrow window. If it detects any digital interference, it'll lock down this section instantly." The pod slipped into a maintenance hatch, opening into the lower decks. The corridors here were strange, alive, shifting subtly, as if the walls were breathing. Blue veins crawled across the surfaces, and the air smelled faintly metallic. "Keep moving," Rhea whispered. "Step lightly. Don't trigger sensors." Torres held his rifle tightly, eyes scanning for movement. Even shadows seemed to pulse in time with the Atlas's heartbeat. They reached a junction where the corridor split into 3 paths. The veins in the walls thickened, pulsing faster. A faint whisper echoed through the air vents. "We see you." Rhea froze. "It knows we're here." Vale swallowed. "It's communicating. Or maybe warning us." "No warnings with this thing," Torres muttered. "Warnings are for prey. We're the hunt." Rhea took a deep breath. "We go left. That's closest to the control core according to Vale's scans." They moved slowly, the blue veins creeping along the floor like living threads. Every step made the pulse in Rhea's chest thrum faster, like a drum counting down. Suddenly, the corridor narrowed. The walls rippled violently. A humanoid figure emerged, black veins covering its body, eyes pitch black. It moved like the crew of Argus 9, mechanical but fluid, and it stopped directly in front of them. Torres raised his weapon, but the figure didn't move. It tilted its head and whispered, "You cannot hide." Before anyone could react, the figure vanished, dissolving into the blue light of the walls. The corridor pulsed, and the junction split into 3 new paths, moving like liquid. Rhea's heart pounded. "It's changing the layout. We have to keep going." They continued, following Vale's makeshift map. At each corner, the ship shifted slightly, corridors elongating, walls bending, sometimes appearing to stretch endlessly. The pulse grew stronger, almost painful. Vale muttered, "It's not just alive. It's thinking, adapting, learning from our moves." Rhea's voice was firm. "We use that. We make it think we're in one place, then slip past." 4 hours, they navigated the shifting labyrinth. Every time they felt exhaustion, the pulse reminded them of its presence. Probing, observing, like a predator testing its prey. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. In the center, a glowing sphere floated, blue light radiating in waves. Vale's tablet confirmed, this was the control core. Rhea swallowed. "This is it. If we disrupt that, maybe we can shut it down, or at least slow it." The chamber doors groaned as they opened. Inside, the blue light was almost blinding. Veins spread from the sphere in every direction, connecting to the walls, floor, and ceiling. Within the glow, shapes moved, shadows of the Argus 9 crew, absorbed into the Atlas's consciousness. Torres whispered, "It sees us. It knows we're here." Rhea stepped forward, holding a small EMP device. "We have one shot. We hit that sphere, and we pull back, fast." Vale nodded, fingers trembling. "I'll guide the pulse timing. Hit it when the wave recedes. That's the only window." The pulse surged violently, shaking the chamber. Shadows writhed around the sphere, whispering, "You cannot stop us." Rhea took a deep breath. "We'll see about that." She raised the EMP device, hands steady, and prepared to strike. The pulse hit its peak, the entire chamber shaking, shadows screaming in silence, blue veins expanding toward them. Rhea's pod of fear surged, but she held firm. "Now!" Vale shouted. The EMP discharged. A bright wave of light exploded from the device, rippling through the sphere. The shadows shrieked and dissolved into the blue glow. The veins retracted slightly, and the pulse weakened, just enough for the chamber to stabilize. Rhea's legs shook, but she smiled. "It's working for now." Vale checked the readings. "The core's destabilized. It won't last long, but we bought time." Torres glanced at the door. "Time for a retreat, Captain." Rhea nodded. "We leave, and we warn Earth. The fight's far from over, but this is our first win." Part 5 ends with the Atlas partially destabilized, the pulse weakened temporarily, and Rhea realizing that while they bought time, the entity is still alive, intelligent, and adapting, a threat that will reach Earth if they fail. The escape pod drifted farther from the Atlas, engines burning quietly to keep a safe distance. Captain Rhea Dalton's breathing echoed in her helmet, each inhale sharp, each exhale heavier than the last. The pulse from the Atlas still reached them, weaker now, but insistent, a reminder that the threat was far from gone. Vale was at the navigation console, fingers flying over old, analog controls. We bought time, but not much. The destabilization will only last a few hours. Torres gripped the railing tightly. And what then? That thing repairs itself, evolves, and comes after us again. Rhea didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were fixed on the shrinking silhouette of the Atlas. It pulsed rhythmically, veins of blue light spreading across its hull, as if the ship itself was breathing. Vale's voice trembled. "Captain, it's sending a new signal." Rhea turned sharply. "What do you mean?" "The core is destabilized, yes. But the entity isn't done. It's transmitting a pulse, and it's much stronger. It's aimed at Earth." Rhea's stomach twisted. "How much time do we have?" "Minutes, maybe an hour," Vale whispered. Inside the Atlas, the partially destabilized core pulsed unevenly. The shadows of the Argus, 9 crew writhed and twisted, trying to maintain cohesion. The vessel, though weakened, had not lost its intelligence. It adapted rapidly, finding new ways to transmit its presence across light years. The blue veins along the hull flared, bright and aggressive. Energy readings showed bursts of pulse waves shooting toward the communication array, aiming for Earth. In the escape pod, Rhea gritted her teeth. "We can't just watch. We have to stop that signal before it reaches home." Torres groaned. "We can barely hold this pod together, Captain. How do you propose we stop a living ship sending pulses across the system?" Rhea stared at the display, determination shining in her eyes. "We hit the transmission array directly. Minimal exposure. It's risky, but if we fail, Earth will never know what hit them." Vale nodded reluctantly. "I can guide you through the old maintenance tunnels. The Atlas's new structure is chaotic, but the old conduits still exist. We can reach the array, if we move fast." The pod approached the Atlas once more, keeping just outside the reach of the pulsing blue light. The surface shimmered, almost alive, reacting to their presence. Every movement was mirrored in subtle waves along the hull. The entity had learned from their first intrusion. Rhea whispered, "Stay quiet. Minimal disturbance." Vale navigated them into a maintenance hatch. They entered the corridors, the old pathways untouched by transformation. But the pulse of the entity was palpable. It throbbed in the walls, in the air, in their minds. The corridors were tight, forcing them to move in single file. Each step echoed unnaturally, and the blue veins outside seemed to pulse in response, like a heartbeat measuring fear. Torres muttered, "It's watching, feeling us." Rhea kept her voice calm. "Focus on the array. Ignore the pulse. Don't let it see you panic." They reached a junction where the maintenance corridor split. Vale consulted his tablet. "Left path leads to the upper array. We'll be exposed more, but it's a direct route. Right leads deeper into the ship, safer but longer. We don't have time for the longer path." Rhea nodded. "Left it is. Move." As they advanced, the entity reacted. Walls shimmered, corridors stretched and narrowed, creating false paths. The pulse intensified, resonating with their movements. The shadows of the absorbed crew flickered along the walls, silent, watching, waiting. Rhea's pulse quickened. "It's learning from us again. Be ready." Torres raised his weapon, scanning. "If it touches us, we're done." They reached the final corridor leading to the array. Blue veins crawled across the metal like liquid lightning. The pulse was almost deafening now, and the shadows of Argus 9 seemed to merge with the walls themselves. Vale whispered, "We're here. The array is exposed in the next chamber." Rhea took a deep breath. "On my mark, we move fast, disable it, and get out." The chamber door opened. The transmission array glowed faintly, a cluster of antennas and amplifiers, all connected by the same living blue veins pulsing with energy. The entity had integrated them. Rhea grabbed the manual controls of the array, Vale guiding her hands. "If we pull the main conduit, it might sever the signal." Suddenly, The pulse surged violently. Shadows coalesced into humanoid shapes, forming barriers in the chamber. Torres fired, but bullets disintegrated midair, meeting only the glowing blue light. The whispers came, soft and terrifying. "You cannot stop what has begun." Rhea gritted her teeth. "We'll see about that." With Vale's guidance, she yanked the main conduit. Sparks flew, energy surged, and the blue veins recoiled as the pulse faltered. The shadows screamed silently and dissolved into the light. The pulse weakened, flickering. The signal toward Earth was interrupted, but the entity was not defeated. Rhea staggered back, breathing heavily. We bought time." Vale nodded, exhausted. "Time to warn them. Earth needs to know what's coming." Torres glanced at the fluctuating chamber. "And that thing inside the Atlas? It's still alive." Rhea's gaze hardened. "Yes. And it's learning. Faster than we can imagine. We have to prepare. Humanity doesn't have long." Rhea Dalton floated in the escape pod, staring at the Atlas. The massive ship pulsed like a living creature, veins of blue light snaking across its hull. Its shape was no longer human-designed. It was organic, alien, evolving. Time was running out. "Vale, what's our window?" Rhea asked, her voice steady despite the tension. Vale's hands shook as he checked the readings. "Minutes, at most. If that pulse reaches Earth, the whole planet could be affected. It's not just a signal, it's a seed. It will spread, and humanity won't stand a chance if we fail." Torres gritted his teeth. "So we risk everything. Again." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "We don't have a choice. We stop it here, or Earth is next." The pod approached the Atlas cautiously. The pulse of the entity throbbed against their minds, a constant, insistent presence. The hull shimmered with blue veins, moving as if sensing their approach. Vale whispered, "We go through the upper maintenance conduit. Old routes. Less interference. But it's risky, the entity adapts quickly." Rhea nodded. "We move fast, stay quiet, and don't let it see us coming." They entered the maintenance hatch. Corridors twisted unnaturally, walls stretching and bending, but Vale's tablet guided them through. Every step made the pulse in their minds stronger. The entity was aware of them, testing, probing, trying to predict their moves. At last, they reached the control chamber. The transmission array glowed like a beating heart. Blue veins pulsed along the walls, connecting the array to the Atlas's core. Shadows of the absorbed Argus, 9 crew flickered within the veins, whispering, "You cannot stop us." Rhea gritted her teeth. "We'll see about that." Vale pointed to the conduit. "If we sever the main line here and overload the stabilizers, it might disrupt the pulse. But the shockwave could kill us too." Torres muttered, "Then we do it fast. No second chances." Rhea positioned the EMP device. Her pulse matched the Atlas's. She glanced at Vale. "Ready." Vale nodded, voice trembling. "On your mark." The chamber shuddered violently. Shadows writhed along the walls, forming humanoid shapes, reaching out with black-veined hands. The pulse throbbed faster, shaking the walls, almost deafening. "Now!" Vale shouted. Rhea activated the EMP. A brilliant wave of light exploded from the device, spreading through the array. The shadows screamed silently, dissolving into the pulsing veins. Sparks flew. The blue light faltered, flickering. The main conduit overloaded. The pulse toward Earth weakened, just enough for the signal to fail. The Atlas shuddered, twisting unnaturally as if the ship itself was in pain. Rhea staggered back. Did it work? Vale checked the tablet. The transmission is stopped. The pulse toward Earth is gone, for now. But the entity is still alive. Part of the Atlas survived. It's not over. Torres glanced around the flickering chamber. How do we stop something that can rebuild itself faster than we can think? Rhea stared at the Atlas, its blue veins dimming but still visible. We contain it. We warn Earth. Humanity needs to prepare. That's all we can do. Vale nodded, exhausted. We need to leave. The ship is unstable. Any second, it could collapse entirely. Rhea led them back to the escape pod. The corridors twisted one last time, trying to trap them, but Vale's guidance kept them on track. The pulse of the Atlas faded slightly as they departed. As they entered orbit away from the Atlas, Rhea contacted Terran Command. Her voice was firm, carrying urgency. Atlas has transformed into a living entity. Original crew absorbed. Transmission toward Earth blocked, temporarily. Containment is critical. Prepare for rapid response. This is not a drill. Silence followed for a moment, then commands were confirmed. Earth would know. Earth would prepare. Vale sighed, leaning against the pod wall. We bought time, but the Atlas isn't gone. Rhea looked back at the massive, glowing ship. Its vanes pulsed faintly in the distance, alive, watching, and thinking. Torres shook his head. How do we stop something like that permanently? Rhea's eyes hardened. We don't. Not yet. All we can do is survive, and learn. Humanity will have to be ready for when it returns. The pod drifted farther into space. Behind them, the Atlas continued to shimmer, a silent, evolving threat. It was no longer just a ship, it was intelligence, adaptation, life itself. And in the darkness of the void, its pulse continued, slow and steady, waiting for the next moment to reach out. Rhea Dalton gritted her teeth, knowing one truth: humanity had detected the unknown ship. And although it was too late for Argus 9, there was still a chance to fight, to survive. The story ended, for now.